This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 841 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you, one day at a time. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is an excerpt from the Driving Radio Show. Dr. Wendy Ying and Glenn the Geek take a look at the second half of a list of common riding instructor analogies, and Wendy translates them into driving analogies. And we'll get right to our tip after this important message from Kentucky Performance Products.
This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Electrolytes. Who needs them? Your horse, that's who. Electrolytes perform critical functions within your horse's body. They help regulate nerve and muscle functions by carrying electrical impulses between cells. In addition, electrolytes assist the body in maintaining a healthy fluid balance by controlling your horse's desire to drink. When your horse loses significant amounts of electrolytes and fluids, problems such as dehydration, muscle cramping, fatigue, tying up, and colic may occur. Even in mild forms, these conditions can have a negative impact on your horse's ability to perform and recover after exercise. Top riders and veterinarians turn to Summer Games Electrolyte to keep their horse healthy in hot weather, and you can too. Summer Games replenishes the electrolytes and trace minerals lost when your horse sweats, and it stimulates the thirst response so your horse continues to drink and stay properly hydrated. So when the going gets hot, trust Summer Games Electrolyte from Kentucky Performance Products to protect your horse.
This Nutritional Minute has been brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. You can find all of their terrific products at kppusa.com. Well, let's go into our next segment here, which is part 2 of something we started 2 weeks ago. We started on episode 108, if you want to go back and listen to the first part if you missed it. It was an article called 10 Crazy Analogies Instructors Make, and it was done on horsenation.com. We did the first 5, and these are things instructors say that are analogies, but they were meant for riding. And what we did in the first one is I read them, and then Wendy converted it to driving. And it was pretty funny. So it was fun to go through and see the correlations there. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
You feeling creative?
I'm feeling creative. All
right, here we go. Imagine there's a triangle between your shoulders pointing down to the saddle. And that was meant, for riding. Mm-hmm. Is to make sure your posture is correct.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. I've actually never heard that, but I think it's like I talked about last week with the centered riding. They also do centered driving, and this is probably a great visualization because when I hear that, I kind of want to push my shoulder blades down. Mm-hmm. So while I'm sitting down, like for example, my desk chair, I have to get a new one. I can't stand it because it makes me hunch over. And so if I push my shoulder blades down like a triangle to my saddle, I really can feel like I roll my shoulders back. And that's important in both riding and driving. You need to open up your chest and roll your shoulders back so you can effectively use your shoulders to steer and not just your hands, and it loosens your whole arms.
What do they say? Shoulders back, belly button out.
Yeah.
Another analogy.
That is very good.
Our next one. Imagine someone cracked an egg on your head. What does that one mean? I lost on that one.
I've heard this before, and this is like a visualization technique too, because if you imagine like someone cracks an egg on your head, you kind of push the back of your head up, when it cracks, and then you're supposed to imagine the egg dripping down so that you're supposed to have a wave of relaxation down your body. So if you've ever done any yoga, you know how they talk you through and they talk about your body parts. to talk you through relaxing each one. Because sometimes it's hard for people, like you say, relax your shoulders. Like, okay, well, whatever. I don't know how
That
to
always
do
makes my shoulders tighter when they stay.
Right. Right. So this is, you're supposed to imagine like everything dripping down in a like slow manner. And it's supposed to just make you relax from your head to your toes.
Okay. Well, that works for driving or riding.
And I've heard too before, some cowboys said, if you have a horse that rears, you're supposed to carry an egg in your hand. And when he rears, you're supposed to put the egg on his head so he feels like relaxed after he hits his head. And it's probably not relaxed. It probably feels like he cracked his head on something without actually hurting him. But I was like, okay, well, if I'm afraid my horse is going to rear, how am I going to be riding with one hand and the egg in the other?
Yeah, that was my next question. I hope it's hard-boiled because...
No, this must be something somebody came up with sitting around the pub one night or something. Like, let's see if they'll do it.
You're going to love the next one.
All right.
Shoulders like a princess, hips like a harlot.
Oh, well, while I do like that next one, for carriage driving, I don't think there's any correlation because if you sit like that with carriage driving, it's not good.
Yeah, I don't think it would be good either.
You could say, don't sit like that.
Yes. And do the opposite.
There is somebody I know that does sit like that. And I mean, sometimes I just want to go over and say to her, you know, come on, you need to close your legs because you're driving. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
But anyways, you should keep your legs together and your lap robe closed.
Yeah, that's better for riding, that one. The second one, or the next one, rather. Open your chest.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's like something I just talked about.
That's similar to the previous one.
Many people riding or driving, and I'll tell you, this is like my biggest issue, and this is what Randy and Katie Cadwell have helped me with so much, is that I get nervous, and I want to do it right, and I want to, blah, 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 and I want to, make sure I'm doing everything, and I get super tense in my pectorals. And then my shoulders start to go in. And then my elbows get hard. And then, it's like it's a slippery slope. And then I can't be soft with my hands. Even though I'd like to think, oh, well, it's just my hands. My hands are soft, but it's not. It's my whole body. Like I can't absorb anything because I'm tight in my core. And you need to be tight in your tummy core. I can't be tight in my pectorals. And that's what that means, open your chest. So this is another correlation to yoga. When you start yoga, and I might have said this last time, but, I like that saying when you're trying to relax and they're like, okay, they just talk really quiet. And they're like, okay, breathe deep. Are you trying to win yoga? You can't win yoga. That's so true.
That's
I'm like, I'm going to breathe deep. And you can't. That's not opening your chest. That's just panting.
Yoga is really tough for ADD people.
It's really tough. So it's a way for your instructor to tell you to relax and to fill your whole lungs with air, even the little top accessory lobes that are right under your collarbones. You need to feel that open up.
I did one of the things that helped me the most. I used to have sleeping problems, so I actually got some professional help, and they taught me self-hypnosis.
Oh, great.
And that's how I would get to sleep then, is doing the whole self-hypnosis sleep regimen that they would go through. But there were some times when I'd get halfway through it, and then my mind would start to wander, and then I would actually look at the clock. And,
right.
They don't let you bring watches into yoga, and there's a reason.
Yeah.
Exactly. But, I did master that a little bit, about halfway, I would say. I was halfway good at it.
Yeah. It's difficult. I mean, that's why riding lessons are great, or yoga, or like you and I need guided meditation. Self-hypnosis is
you and I need professional psychiatric help. That's what you and I need.
Yes. You're right.
All right, one more. Point your hips like laser beams where you want to go.
Well, with riding, this is actually really great because that does help you use your seat bones to steer.
Right. And
me growing up as a hunter rider, I never sat down until I was 20. I never used my seat bones to do anything. So, but when I actually learned to sit down in the saddle and ride more with my body. I understand that concept. And for driving, I think sometimes I do catch myself doing that with my hips, but I don't do it as much anymore. But you do need to, instead of your hips, you need to move your shoulders where you're going to want to go, especially in the hazards. I think if you watch, like Chester or Boyd or Coaster On in the hazards, you can see they're like using their whole body and they're leaning where they want to go,
Right.
So your body has to kind of follow your path. It's almost like skiing in a way, that motion.
Well, and if you want to see more, thank you, Wendy. That was fun.
You're
It's
welcome.
a fun little segment to do.
And that's a wrap. To listen to more tips on everything from barn care to websites for horse people, just go to horsetipdaily.com and look for the topics drop-down menu on the left. And don't forget to support our sponsors here on Horse Tip Daily because they make these podcasts possible. This podcast has been brought to you through the generous support of Kentucky Performance Products. You can find them online at kppusa.com. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.